Today we are talking about the solar plexus chakra. So day one we had root chakra, which is like perineum, right? Very base of your pelvis and your spine. That's about, do I feel safe? Do I feel provided for? And then we went to the sacral chakra, which is sacrum, psoas muscle, bladder, reproductive organs, and that's about what do I feel? What do I desire? And also about how do I relate to other people. And now, today we are at the lovely solar plexus chakra, which is between the solar plexus where the ribs sort of curve up and in and meet right here. Your diaphragm is also right there. So if you push there, it's a little bit tender. I don't recommend that. But it's between you right here and your navel. And then also remembering that this goes all the way through the body and is on the spine as well, kind of in that mid-back area. This is ruled by the element of fire. So it gives us power, it gives us ego, it gives us self-control, but at the same time it also gives us warmth in our sort of personality and our relationships with other people. In here we have the digestive organs, the intestines, the liver, the gallbladder, and also the adrenal glands. So that's where that kind of like sense of action, get up and go, doing comes from. When the chakra, the solar plexus chakra, is unbalanced, particularly if it's blocked or if it's underactive, you might be feeling passive, like you can't get anything done. You might also be feeling shame, as this is kind of part of our identity, right? And then because of that shame, because we don't feel so good about ourselves, we might also be putting other people down. We might become a bully. And then on the other side, when this solar plexus chakra is overactive, we're going to feel stressed. We're going to be reacting to situations rather than responding. We might have emotional outbursts. We might feel cocky, thinking too much of ourselves even. So then when this chakra is balanced, we kind of come in between these things and we can set things into action. We can set our mind to something and then let it take place. We'll feel confident as well that these actions that we're taking are the appropriate actions. We'll feel confident that they're the right choice, but also that we're skilled and prepared and capable to like take on whatever action and complete it that we've chosen. It also gives us confidence and power. It's like I go into the world and I'm doing something, and do I believe in myself? And because of that, it allows us, actually, one of my favorite parts about this is to be compassionate and to be encouraging of other people. So again, when we don't feel so good about ourselves, we might put other people down to make ourselves feel better. But actually, when we have a greater sense of confidence in our identity and our own power and our own decision making, not only do we feel better about ourselves, but we can then push that or give it, I should say, to other people, right? This is ruled by the color yellow. I know this kind of looks greenish, but it's what we've got today. And today, after our warm-up, when SAUL is joining us on guitar, I want to talk about this idea of setting our ideas, our thoughts, our desires into action. There's this transformation that happens from idea into reality. And then we'll get there, but this kind of immediately brought up the idea to me of kinetic energy to potential energy to kinetic energy. So we'll get there later. But for now, take a couple deep breaths. We'll stand up. We'll start our warm-up. With that same familiar music again, kind of just coming home, returning home with this warm-up. And then we'll get going. So find yourself standing wherever you are. Maybe let out a couple deep breaths. Feeling your feet spreading on the earth. Again, when we connect to that stability and groundedness, then all these other chakras can allow us to expand. Perhaps placing your hands on the solar plexus chakra, so between your solar plexus and your navel, right here. Begin to close your eyes and just drop in. Every inhale, we expand through all of those first three chakras that we've experimented with so far. And then at every exhale, clear it out. Let your weight sink deeper into the earth. And then as our affirmation for the solar plexus chakra, you might inhale and then exhale, say, I am powerful. Or another way of saying this is big breath in, and then exhale, I believe in myself. You might not, but the more and more we say it, we'll start to believe it. Every breath, take a deep breath in. And exhale, I believe in myself. Just begin that gentle head circle to the right. Warming up our legs. Already, just by being here, you have set something into action. And then reverse inversions whenever you're ready. It might be the first movements that you've done with your spine today, so just kind of be easy on yourself. There's so many little muscles and body right here. Deep breaths. And then find your head back up in the center, looking forward and strong. You'll begin to roll your shoulders forward, just like dogs. Perhaps inhaling, lift the arms up. Exhaling, curve them down. And if you're joining us, welcome. Just hop right in. As always, inviting these sways of extra movement that you need here. And then we'll reverse that circle. Open up the chest, particularly that solar plexus area. Inhaling and exhaling. I believe in my power. That's our affirmation. Really get into step our feet wide. And then synchronizing movement with breath here. We'll reach one arm up. We're getting to the top of your exhale or your inhale when you reach one arm, and then the bottom of your exhale when you reach the other arm. It's going to take some time to calibrate this, but that's why we're doing it. So we go. Inhale. And exhale. Of course, it doesn't have to be at my pace. Our lungs are all different. Maybe getting your legs, hip creases involved. Feeling the air through your fingertips. Beautiful, everyone. And then we'll start to swipe across the horizon, using your eyes to really see where you are. Inhaling. And exhaling. Already I feel sort of a twist and activation in that solar plexus area. You might connect to that there. I believe in my power. the horizon. One more time. Here we go. Feeling the twist in your abs. Maybe getting a little lower. And this time we'll go back to reaching up high. Rooting through your feet and reaching through your fingers. Keep swaying the spine. Good. We'll let that fade as we turn the knees out a little bit. And we'll begin to feel the weight of the pelvis as we bounce here. I'm going to turn the music up here. Here we go. In, out with the arms. All of us dancing together. Still feeling the feet grounding and the pelvis nice and tight. And here we go, reaching side to side. Be a joyous dance here. Here we go, inhale. I believe in my power. Back to the middle. Get more. Keep that full breath. You can get through it. This is part of our willpower, our stamina, our mental stamina. Let those legs burn. That's what that Solar-Plexis-Chakra is about. Getting through it, even if it's burning. Let the arms do whatever they want. We got this. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, you guys. Take a couple of deep breaths. Should feel a little bit warmer now. I know my thighs do. So, before we go into this next part of class, I'm going to talk about what we'll do, and then I'll invite Saul in, who is our musician for today. So I mentioned that the solar plexus chakra, again, from the diaphragm, solar plexus area, down to the navel, and always remembering it goes through the back and the ribs, is about connecting to our ability to have an idea, a thought, a feeling, a desire, and just set it into action. And there is a transition that happens. Sometimes it feels like an impossible transition, but there's a transition that happens from idea to action. It's a transformation of energy. And because we're working with the body, I want to talk about potential energy and kinetic energy. You may remember this from science 80,000 years ago, but potential energy is the energy that something has gathered and stored up that hasn't been released yet. So if I hold this pen up here, it has gathered so much potential energy, and then the moment I let it go, that potential energy turns into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy that we have when something begins to move. So again, if you are at the top of a hill on a roller coaster, you're gaining that potential energy. Right when the transfer happens between going up to letting that energy go, that's a transition into kinetic energy. So we'll talk about that, but let's have Saul, our musician, come in. I believe I can request him. I'm so excited to have Saul here. Saul is a wonderful composer. I've worked with him before as a dancer. Hello, Saul.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. I'm just giving you a gorgeous introduction. Saul is a composer. I've actually danced to his works before in Rovico Dance Company, a company that I dance with, and we're kind of a pair. I feel like he composes a lot of our works, and he shall continue if I have anything to do with it.
Yes.
So Saul, you can just kind of start playing whenever you'd like. Saul's going to give us our soundscape here. And let's come back to standing, everybody. So, oh my goodness, it's so luscious. I love it. Give me a little holler if any of you can't hear me at any point. I'll try and pay attention. Alright, so we're going to start with just basic, right? We're going to lift, maybe say our arm, our hand. We're going to build that potential energy in our hand right here. And then, whenever you're ready, again, this is about your choice. You're just going to let your hand go and see what happens. Great. Maybe not a whole ton. Lifting maybe the other arm up into the sky. And whenever you're ready, letting it go. So I want us to pay attention to this moment right when we decide we're going to go. And then we can pay attention to the reverberations, the effects, the consequences of this action that trail through the rest of our body. So arm is up. And then I've chosen now. This little reverberation that happens through my arm, the drop of my torso, is all an effect of that 1 second that you chose, that I chose to let go of my arm. So let's just play with this for a little bit here. It can be a knee, it can be a foot, it can be a shoulder. We'll just start gaining potential energy and then using your power of choice to choose when you want to let it go. And then feel how that trails through the rest of your body. Pretty simple here, yeah? And then, yeah. Perhaps you might feel the vibrations as whatever you've dropped hits the ground. Ooh. And then we'll just be here for a minute or so and let Saul's music kind of inspire you, and just playing with this really simple game of raising potential energy and letting go of kinetic energy. And then as we explore here, you might just follow the path of that kinetic energy a little more. So when I drop my arm, it kind of stays at my side, but I can feel this little reverberation that happens through my head and kind of pulls me down. Just give yourself permission to kind of expand on that a little bit. So maybe I follow that pathway a little bit with my body. Yeah, I'll just play some more here. And because this is a practice of choice and a practice of setting things into action, Just be really specific about what part of your body it is that you're raising and exactly when you've chosen to let it go. We're practicing that here. That's setting things into action. Maybe one moment of kinetic energy leads into another moment of potential energy, which leads into kinetic, which leads into potential, and kinetic again. You might have already felt this, but you can kind of feel that the longer you hold something in that potential energy spot, the more powerful that kinetic energy becomes. Oh, and you have license to sort of expand on it and play with it. It doesn't have to be an exact, well, my pathway went here and I have to stop here. You can fully just let it go through your body wherever feels good until you find the next moment of potential. Letting your breath guide you as well, so maybe exhaling. Wonderful, everybody. Becomes this wonderful rising and falling dance, just like these rising and falling notes of the guitar, and the rising and falling of your breath. Just following where that action, that choice to move takes you. Maybe even surprising yourself. Good, we'll spend about another minute here just listening to the music. You have the choice, you have the power to decide where you're putting that potential energy and when you release it. And all potential energy has the potential for kinetic energy. Anything that you set into an idea, into a thought, into emotion, or into a movement has the potential to become something. On the low stakes scale of dancing in our rooms. So just slow your little dance down here. Maybe find yourself in stillness wherever you are. We'll come back to having hands on the solar plexus chakra here. And before we move on to the next part, just taking a big breath in together. And then exhaling. Letting everything go. It's not that serious. Breathing in one more time. Exhaling, maybe you say to yourself, I believe in my power. And then we'll begin with this next part. So far, when we've released into kinetic energy, it's been fairly passive, right? We just had the potential, and then the action that we took was the choice to let it go, right? And then we just kind of follow where it goes. We're going to switch into a more active version of this. So rather than building up the potential energy and then letting it go and seeing where it goes, we're going to find a place on our body and we're going to create the energy ourselves. So what does that look like? It looks like what we call in dance a lot of times initiation points. So I might take my fingers at my side. They really have no potential energy, but because we learned through our solar plexus chakra that we have the power to create that energy of action, I'm just going to initiate a movement with my fingertips, right? We become the active energy force behind this movement rather than just the choice to kind of let it go where it goes. Again, let's be very specific with ourselves, just as a practice of that willpower, that self-control, that sense of identity. Being very specific with ourselves, which points we're initiating from in our body. So perhaps I choose my knee. Again, right here it has next to no potential energy, but again, I am going to infuse that point with that energy. Here we go. Right? And then of course, again, we can follow that path wherever it may lead. So let's just have this little active initiation dance here. Starting quite slow, maybe just following a point, taking a rest, choosing another point and following another point. And then we can start to get a little more fancy later. So, here we go. Pick your first point, and then whenever you're ready, infuse that point with action. Oh, SAUL, it's so good. Good. Still using breath. And these points can be quite obvious. They can be joints, hands, feet, but they can also be imaginary points. So you could say, I'm going to initiate with the inside of my ribs. Yeah? We have this whole canvas to play with. I'm going to initiate with my coccyx. And there's a spot of skin on my right arm that I'm choosing to initiate with now. Getting the idea a little bit, yeah? We can initiate up or down, or in circles. And then again, just like we did before, letting that initiation point take you. You have poetic license here to follow that energy wherever it may go. Until your brain just sees another initiation point. Whoa! The power here really lies in you. Wonderful. And then as you get a little bit more comfortable with this idea of initiating from parts in your body, you can maybe initiate from 2 points at the same time. Oh, elbows, or nose and knee. Or perhaps you can interrupt one pathway with another initiation. That might look like this. I might initiate with my elbow, and then my foot interrupts me and takes me the other way. Yeah? Again, the whole power here lies in you. You are the one infusing these actions with kinetic energy, with intention, with motion. And you are the one that chooses these places. You choose how and when and where. It's a good practice because we really do have this choice every day. But it feels a little bit more at home in our bodies. So let's just play with that. Maybe surprising yourself. Beautiful, everybody. And your initiations will probably look a lot different than mine, too. Another thing that I might remind you here is that stillness is always an option. Just because we have the power to set things in action doesn't mean we should or have to. Stillness is a choice as well. Stillness can often give us a more acute idea of where and when and how we need to set the next thing in action in our body. Maybe staying still for a moment might give you a sense of where the energy is building in your body and where the next point comes. But of course, we also apply this to life. Stillness, rest, quietness is like a tuning fork. It helps us tune into where the next move might be so that we don't just make rash decisions. So you can play with stillness, silence here if you need. Still being specific about your initiation. slow too. Just as long as you know where they're coming from. It just starts to become a really personal listening dance. You might even stick with one point of initiation for a while too. The head is a really fun one, I find. You might want to try that. Oh, keep breathing. And your body will know when it's time for another. Beautiful, everybody. For the last minute or so here, you can stay with this exploration if you'd like, or just with how your body has been awakened because of this exploration, continue to move in your own way, just listening to this beautiful music SAUL is playing for us. Trusting in your power. You might find, even if you're not staying with the exploration, that initiation points pop out of nowhere, and that's good. That means you're listening. You're more aware than you were when you started 30 minutes ago. Feeling the energy of all of us dancing in our rooms wherever we are. We'll take 5 more breaths together, and at the end of your 5 deep breaths, just making your way to stillness in whatever shape you find. Wherever you are, placing your hands back on your Solar-Plexis-Chakra. Feeling the vibrations you stirred up. Maybe having those physical memories of initiation points that travel through your body. Just kind of savor them for a moment. Savor their memory of the beautiful music. Take a big breath in all together. Belly, ribs, collarbone. Exhale, let something out your mouth. And breathe in again. This time you might say to yourself as you exhale, I believe in my power. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. I encourage you as you go about your day to remember that you have the power to set things in action and to trust your skills that when you set them into action, you'll be okay. So place your two palms together at your heart. Bowing your head to your chest in gratitude to yourself. And we'll finish today with the sound of Ram, R-A-M. That is the sound of the Solar-Plexis-Chakra. So exhale all your air out. Take a big breath in. And we'll finish with the sound of Ram. Inhaling again. Ram. Namaste, everybody.